The story of the Murdaugh family reads like a Flannery O'Connor novel crossed with a John Grisham legal thriller, a sprawling Southern Gothic saga of power, privilege, and the devastating consequences when justice becomes a family business. For nearly a century, the Murdaugh name cast an ominous shadow across the rural counties of South Carolina's Low Country. Where 3 generations of attorneys served consecutively as solicitors, prosecutors for the 14th Judicial Circuit, while simultaneously building one of the state's most powerful plaintiff law firms. This dual role, part law enforcement, part personal injury practice, created a perfect storm of corruption that would ultimately destroy the family and expose shocking crimes that stunned the nation. The Murdaugh dynasty began in the early 20th century when Randolph Murdaugh Sr. became solicitor in 1920, establishing a pattern of legal dominance that would continue for nearly 100 years. His son, Randolph Buster Murdaugh Jr., took over in 1940, followed by Randolph Murdaugh III in 1986. This unprecedented 3-generation reign gave the family extraordinary influence over law enforcement, judicial appointments, and local politics across 5 counties. At the same time, they built their private law firm, Peters, Murdaugh, Parker, Eltsroth, and Dietrich PMPED, into a personal injury powerhouse that secured massive verdicts through what many described as a combination of legal skill and sheer intimidation. The family's power extended far beyond the courtroom. They controlled local law enforcement appointments, influenced judicial elections, and maintained a network of favors and obligations that stretched across the Low Country. As one local attorney described it, they weren't just practicing law, they were the law. This influence created an environment where few dared to challenge them, whether in court or in business. The firm's success in personal injury cases was legendary, with juries routinely awarding enormous verdicts to Murdaugh clients, a phenomenon many attributed to the unspoken understanding that crossing the family could have professional and personal consequences. The first cracks in this carefully constructed edifice appeared on February 24, 2019, when Paul Murdaugh, the youngest scion of the dynasty, drunkenly crashed his father's boat into a bridge piling, throwing 19-year-old Mallory Beach into the water to her death. Security footage from that night showed Paul's arrogant swagger as he stumbled into a bar immediately after the crash, downing shots while his friends desperately searched for their missing companion. The response from local authorities was tellingly muted. Initial reports omitted Paul's name, and the investigation moved with unusual lethargy. This was the Murdaugh way. Problems disappeared, inconvenient truths were smoothed over, and the family's position remained unchallenged. But the boat crash proved different. In the age of social media and true crime podcasts, the old ways of suppressing scandal no longer worked. Public outrage grew as details emerged about Paul's underage drinking, facilitated by his family's connections, his history of reckless behavior, and the apparent special treatment he received from law enforcement. For the first time in living memory, the Murdaughs found themselves facing scrutiny they couldn't control. The dam truly broke on June 7, 2021, when Alex Murdaugh called 911 to report finding his wife Maggie and son Paul murdered at the family's sprawling Moselle hunting estate. The crime scene was horrific. Paul shot twice with a shotgun at close range, Maggie felled by multiple rifle rounds, their bodies left in the feed room like slaughtered animals. In that moment, the carefully constructed facade of Southern gentility crumbled, revealing the rot beneath. What investigators uncovered in the ensuing months was more shocking than even the most cynical observers could have imagined. Behind the respectable veneer of his law practice, Alex Murdaugh had been running a years-long financial fraud, stealing millions from clients, including the family of his own housekeeper, Gloria Satterfield, who died in a suspicious trip and fall accident at the Murdaugh home. The pattern was always the same: identify vulnerable clients, secure large settlements, then divert the funds to feed his opioid addiction and lavish lifestyle. The scale of the theft was staggering. At least $8.5 million stolen from clients in the firm itself. As the walls closed in following the murders, Alex's behavior grew increasingly desperate. In September 2021, he staged a bizarre roadside shooting, allegedly hiring a former client to kill him so his surviving son could collect a $10 million life insurance payout. The plot was comically inept. The bullet merely grazed Alex's skull, but it revealed the depths to which he would sink to preserve his crumbling world. The murder trial that began in January 2023 was a spectacle unlike anything South Carolina had ever seen. Prosecutors methodically dismantled Alex's carefully cultivated image as a grieving patriarch, presenting damning financial records and cell phone data that placed him at the murder scene minutes before the killings. Perhaps most devastating was the Snapchat video Paul had taken just before his death, footage that captured Alex's voice at the kennels where the murders occurred, directly contradicting his alibi. The motive became clear. Maggie had grown suspicious about their finances, while Paul's reckless behavior had brought unwelcome attention to the family. They had become liabilities in Alex's crumbling world, obstacles to be removed. After just 3 hours of deliberation, the jury returned a guilty verdict on all counts, and Judge Clifton Newman sentenced Alex to 2 consecutive life terms without parole. But the full reckoning extends far beyond one man's crimes. The Murdaugh saga exposes how easily justice can be corrupted when concentrated in the hands of a single family for generations. Their law firm operated as an extension of the solicitor's office, with cases mysteriously disappearing and opponents suddenly facing unexpected legal troubles. Local law enforcement became an extension of their will, turning blind eyes to Murdaugh transgressions while cracking down harshly on anyone who crossed them. The aftermath has been devastating for Hampton County. The PMPED law firm has collapsed, its reputation in tatters. Multiple civil lawsuits continue to unwind the financial fraud, and the victims, from Mallory Beach's grieving family to the clients Alex defrauded, continue seeking justice and accountability. The Murdaugh story serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of concentrated power and the corrupting influence of unchecked privilege. It reveals how easily institutions can be subverted when one family controls both prosecution and private legal practice, and it demonstrates the devastating consequences when the pursuit of wealth and status becomes more important than basic human decency. Today, the Murdaugh name that once opened every door in South Carolina is synonymous with corruption and betrayal. The family's once thriving law firm has dissolved, their political influence evaporated, their legacy reduced to true crime documentaries and sensational headlines. For the victims, from Mallory Beach's grieving family to the clients Alex defrauded, justice came at far too high a price. Their stories serve as a reminder that no one, no matter how powerful or well-connected, should be above the law. In the end, the very system the Murdaughs manipulated for generations turned against them, proving that even in the darkest corners of the South, the light of justice can still break through. The complete story of their rise and fall may never be fully told. Too many secrets died with Maggie and Paul Murdaugh, but what we do know stands as one of the most shocking examples of American greed and corruption in modern history.